Okay, so this is Go Math, and we are on lesson 7, 8-7, Unit 8, lesson 7, and we're doing the exact same thing that we had been doing up to this point, which is inverse operations. We're solving equations to find a number we don't know yet. That's really all we're talking about. When we break that down, that's a lot like what you had seen in primary school as something like some number plus 3 equals 4. Well, some number plus 3 equals 4, when you say, oh, well, I'm going to take 3 away, and I end up with the blank being 1. Except all we're doing now is taking that blank away, and we're calling it x. Right? And we go back and check our work. Does 1 plus 3 equal 4? Yes, it does. The inverse operations that we've been referring to is just doing the opposite. So what happens if I take that concept and I put it into a word form that might have some fractions? No big deal, because I already know I can multiply and divide, add and subtract with fractions. I'm just going to do it the same way. Ignore all of this here. Take a word problem like the one in your book here. On canoe trips, people sometimes carry their canoes between bodies of water. Maps for canoeing use a unit of length called a rod to show distances. Victoria and Mick carry their canoe 40 rods. The equation 40 equals 2 over 11d, or 2/11ths d, gives the distance in yards that they carry a canoe. How many yards do they carry the canoe? Most of this is a distractor. It's fairly pointless, right? I don't need to know that they're on canoe trips, or even exactly what a rod is. This could break down to Victoria and Mick carry their canoe 40 rods. The equation, 40 equals 2/11d, start with the equation. Start with the equation, start with the equation, start with the equation. Gives the distance in yards they carry the canoe. How many yards do they carry the canoe? I really don't even need to know that it's 40 yards. Start with the equation. 40 equals 2/11ths d. Instead of multiplying by 2/11ths, I'm going to divide by 2/11ths. So I end up with 40 divided by 2/11ths equals d. Doing the inverse operation, right? I know keep it, change it, flip it. I have 40 over 1 times 11 over 2. And I'm going to simplify before I even get started here. And I end up with 20 times 11. And d is equal to 220. And I know that that's in the yards that they carried. So let's try just one more here. As I flip forward, there we go. Connor ran 3 kilometers in a relay race, and his distance represents 3/10 of the total distance. The equation, 3/10 d equals 3, can be used to find the total distance d of the race in kilometers. What's the total distance? So start with the equation. Start with the equation. 3/10 d equals 3. Again, do the inverse. Instead of multiplying by 3/10, I can divide by 3/10. And I'm going to keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep 3 over 1. I'm going to change division to multiplication, and I'm going to flip 3/10 to 10/3, simplifying it out here, and I get 10. So d equals 10. Again, inverse operations. Whatever the equation is, start with the equation. Look at what it's asking you to do. By doing the opposite skill, you can solve for the missing variable.